YouTube family. We had some technical difficulties on our earlier session, and so we're back on here. Let me try to dim this a bit. So we are back on here on another live, and we're going to try to pick up where we left off. We were talking about, so if you're new to the Ladies Podcast, on every other Sunday we are here live with myself, Deborah, and it's just Conversations with Deborah, where we talk about day-to-day life and how day-to-day life meets spirituality, how we can use those things that happen to us, occur to us in our day-to-day life, and use our spirituality, our spiritual connection, our spiritual awareness to help us to navigate those things in day-to-day life. There are so many things, and as I like to say, a lot of chaos that is going on in the world today. And regardless of your affiliations, your belief systems, be it, religious, political, your educational background, I think everyone who is alive and breathing today, unless you are a tot, has no awareness of those adult things, will agree with me when I say that, it's almost like the world is in an influx just of chaos. Everything going on around us is particularly so, dealing with the economy. Everyone, is aware of how the economy right now is affecting just about everyone. And it's affecting everyone in different ways. It really just depends on your financial standings. It depends on how you have positioned yourself financially. But I think regardless of your financial standings, who wants to pay higher taxes? Who wants higher rent? Who wants higher mortgages? Who wants to pay an arm and a leg at the grocery store? Who wants to pay an arm and leg at the gas station? If you may have had a car that may have cost you no more than $30, $35 to fill your car up, and now it's taking about $40 or $50, that makes a difference. To me, that makes a difference, because that extra $30, $40, will be an extra $30, $20, $30, $40. That could have gone to towards another bill. It could have helped put food on your table. It could have helped lessen the burden from your increase in rent or mortgages. It's felt all around. This economic climate that we're in is impacting people in a very difficult and, to me, a hurtful way. And I'm sharing, this with you guys because, like I say, I think it's impacting all of us, regardless of your financial standing. I've had conversation with individuals when the topic of the night is hanging on for dear life, right? Hanging on for dear life. What does that mean for you? What does that mean for me? What does that mean for your fellow man, your fellow sister, brother, uncle, grandmother? These are grandmothers. We were talking about senior citizens who living on a fixed income. Could you even imagine what it may be like for them? Not granted, they only have themselves to feed, but they still have to have a roof over their heads if they're independent that way. But I'm hearing people having to work 2 to 3 jobs just to make ends meet. That is insane to me. So I'm like, if you're working 2 to 3 jobs, how do you even have time to time for yourself? And if you're married or whatever, your relationship status may be, for your spouse, your significant other, how do you have time for your children? And, we're human. Yes, we're spiritual beings first, but like I stated, we are spiritual beings living a physical existence in this material. Is necessary. This avatar is necessary to experience this 3D life, this material. But we're not robots. Working 2 to 3 jobs, I can only imagine what type of sleep, what type of rest you're getting. And at some point, it will take a toll on you. I'm not a counselor, not a therapist, I'm not a medical doctor, but I tell you, it does not require you to have these things to be aware and understand the situation of today, the things that we are dealing with today. It doesn't take, those degrees, that level of professionalism to understand that, times are difficult. And, when I say let's, how do we marry the physical with the spiritual? It does not mean that, you know, poof, and magically all these things are going to go away. No, I want to talk, I'm bringing it in from an angle where, from a spiritual aspect, how do you exist in it, but not get caught up in it? How do you exist in it without it causing you stress? How do you exist in it without it causing anxiety? How do you exist in it without it causing sleep deprivation? Because in this economic climate that we're in all this chaos that we're dealing with, when you allow it to get into you, it will manifest in the physical. It will manifest in the physical and cause that anxiety, cause the stress, cause the sleep deprivation, high blood pressure, and in some cases even lead to addictions like alcoholism or drug addiction. So you may ask, so how do I don't want to say deal with it, because deal with it is like you still just, struggle. It implies that there's yet and still a struggle, right? And so what I share tonight is really just, tools that I have gained on my spiritual journey to help me navigate this material when things are not so pleasant, when things seem when it seems like all is lost, there's no hope. These are some things that I have used in my journey to help me navigate life a little bit better. So if you're just joining, I am Deborah Walter. This is Just Conversations with Deborah. I am live on the Ladies Podcast, and just want to share some of our other podcasts that we have here on this show. So tomorrow, Monday, with Resilient Chicks, we'll have Ms. Velma with Resilient Chicks, where, it's an awesome show. I have enjoyed it immensely, where, we talk about the different things that may occur in life with, child, molestation. How do you navigate that? Abuse, mental and physical abuse, how you bounce back from those sort of things. We have Felisa Janae on Talk to Felisa that occurs on Tuesdays. Awesome show there. And talk about just about anything and everything about, about life. Once again, this podcast in its entirety, this show is about just, everyday conversations, with people, just, listening to people's concerns in life and how they have dealt with it. We all like to, have feedback and receive feedback from the community, right? Because we don't know everything. We're here to share what our experiences have been and how we may be able to help you. And we also look for you guys to give us feedback on how you're able to help us navigate this life, because we are all living in this world together and trying to figure things out, right? One of the things I like to say, I like to live a purposeful life, a more purposeful, meaningful life. And that's what I look to bring on Just Conversations with Deborah, living life on purpose. And I think this is a befitting conversation for tonight, hanging on for dear life, resilience, perseverance through these tough times, that they are impacting someone, and I think they're impacting all of us, but in different ways. It just really depends on how you have positioned yourself. So you're just joining. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe on the Ladies Podcast. We would love to have you. Our community of people we're growing. People are loving the conversations that we are having on these shows. Sure, you can go to your pastors. You can go to, your deacons in your churches. You can go to your moms, your dad, whoever that you feel that you can lean on to help give you answers in a time of need. But we are an outlet as well. We are a place where we consider this podcast to be a safe place where you can come and also hopefully get, gain some knowledge, gain some insight on how to better navigate this life. So we're going to, talk about some things tonight. We're going to unravel some things tonight when we're talking about hanging on for dear life. But the main goal of tonight's show is do not give up. You are here on purpose, and it's not by mistake, it's not by chance. And even though things may seem tough, even though it seems like there is no relief, but there is peace amongst the chaos. There's, I don't like to say hope because we are so much more than just hope, right? We are, if you were on my last podcast, I talk about us being a piece of divinity, a piece of divinity. And what does that mean? I mean, because it means that you are a piece of the creator who created us all, put a piece of divinity within us all, a piece of themselves. I don't want to say him or her because I think the creator is genderless, nameless, faceless. The creator, I am because I am. I exist because I exist, right? We are all energy beings, and I believe we have a spark of divinity in us. And so when you say I hope for the best or I wish for the best, then you're not activating the power that is within you. And so I hope to, share some insight on how do you do that? How do you activate the power that is within you? You can't do it. You can't do it until you understand who you are. You have to be able to understand who you are. You are a spiritual being living a physical existence. And I do not believe that the creator just bloop, plotted us here and gave us no tools to navigate, no tools, no abilities to be able to deal with or change. I'm gonna say change. Change is a powerful word, and that is what we're going through right now. To be able to change our circumstances, to be able to change our situation, and give us the ability to live a more purposeful life. And so, like I said, this climate that we're in right now, that seems to be so consuming, taking all our energy, taking all our focus. It can go in, you can allow it to happen around you, but it doesn't have to happen in you. It doesn't have to become a part of you. It's possible. It's possible. But like I said, it's not a one and done situation. It's a practice. And the more you practice at something, the better you get at it, right? The better you get at it. I'm going to give an example. A mother, recalling, raising, my kids. And we all know how the babies can just wah, 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 wah. And when you take it, they're not hungry. They're not, they don't need a diaper change. They're in a safe space, a safe place. And you learn to tune that out. Even when they get like the dollars, you learn how to tune that noise out. So that's what it's about. Getting those tools to be able to tune out the world. But you know what? Now, people, you can't tune out the world or learn how to tune out the world if you're constantly focused on the world. So what does that mean, Deborah? If you're constantly watching the news, which 9 times out of 10 ain't nothing healthy, positive coming from the news. Every now and then they may throw a little something out there, but it's not worth your peace. Social media. Now, there are some platforms out there that are, that have some positive, things to say. But 9 times out of 10, it's not feeding you what you need spiritually. If it's not feeding your spirit, man, then I wouldn't give it much time or attention. Now, this is not Deborah saying go off somewhere in silo and be by yourself all the time. Don't get no entertainment, don't get any enjoyment in life. No, 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 no. What I'm saying is if you are a beginner, if you are just starting your spiritual journey, you're trying to learn tools on how to navigate when things are not so pleasant. Because that's when we really, that's when we really get out there and start looking for, some kind of guidance when things are not so pleasant in our lives. And so I'm saying if you're a beginner and you're just starting on your spiritual journey, being glued to the television or plugged into social media all the time is not a good place to be. You're not going to get to where you need to be. It's going to take you longer. It's going to take you longer. It's going to take some discipline. Even someone as myself who has been on this spiritual journey since 2008, I am still learning. I am still fine-tuning my skills because sometimes I get caught up. We're in this world. We are in this physical world. We're in it. And it's a daily practice to not, be consumed by it, right? And so what we're talking about tonight, hanging on for dear life, higher taxes, higher rent, higher mortgages, groceries, having to forego buying groceries just to keep the lights on. Like I said, it's impacting us in different ways, and it depends on your financial standings and how you position yourselves. But working 2 to 3 jobs is not the answer. It's not the answer. Neither can you not only can you not tend to yourself, your physical being, you can't tend to your spiritual being. You're exhausted. You are exhausted. And as I mentioned, it will impact you physically. It will start to impact you physically. Sleep deprivation is if you are a mother and you recall when the baby, your newborn, not really, still kind of confused on getting the nights and days together, when they should be asleep versus when not, and going without sleep for hours, how it starts attacking the mental. So I'm saying that to say that you cannot continue this way. And you cannot. And who is going to save you? Who is going to change your trajectory? Are we going to wait for the government to do it? Are we going to wait for a man to come down on the clouds to do it? I think not. I think that, like I stated, we are a spark of divinity. And I believe that we were given all the tools that we need. We just need to know the discipline to activate those tools and how to use those tools to where regardless of whatever is going on around us, it puts you in a place of peace and you know that everything is going to be all right. Say it with me. Before we get going on this first question, say it with me. Everything is working according to the divine perfect plan. Everything is working out according to the divine perfect plan. It may not feel good, but if you keep telling yourself things are working out according to God's, the divine perfect plan, and you can make it more personable. You can put your own name in, Deborah. Everything is working out according to the divine perfect plan. And that's a start. That within itself is a start. So we're going to get to the first question. Can you share a personal story or an anecdote where you are someone had to quite literally or metaphorically hang on for dear life? What was the turning point in that situation? Okay. I do have a personal story to share there. And just want to take a moment and pause. If you are just new to Just Conversations with Deborah on the Ladies Podcast, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you'll be notified, not just about the Just Conversation with Deborah, which airs every other Sunday, I must say. But we have shows that are lined up, not just every other Sunday, but Monday, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. A lot of great information that come across those podcasts. I kid you not. And I like to say this is the show that kick starts every week. And so to answer that question, I do have a personal story. And it's honestly, this personal story is how I was compelled or had no choice but to search deeper about the meaning of life and the purpose of life. There was a slew of death that happened in my family. There was, death after death after death after death. And me, myself, had an experience at a very early age, which I did not realize impacted me until all the slew of death started happening later on in life. I watched my mom for 2 years get devoured by cancer, devoured from the inside out. And I was 13 when she passed, and it was me and my best friend. We was at the hospital, and she died in my best friend's arms. She was reaching out. I watched her take her last breath. Now, being at that age, mentally, I really didn't know the impact that had on me until later on in life. And that's where I started, when the death started happening in the family. I mean, from tragedy to tragedy, back to back. And it came to a point, I mean, it really had a hold on me. It did. It took me to a dark place, to where I was like, what is the point? What is the purpose of all this suffering? What loving creator would allow so much suffering to his people that it created, that it loved so much? Why? What's the purpose of life? What is the point of it all? To live and love people just to watch them die and leave you to exist in the world. And so from that point, it was just like someone was sitting right next to me, said, elevate your mind from this place. Clear as day. I heard it clear as day. Elevate your mind from this place. And that started my journey. And I said, okay, I want to better understand death. What is it? Because coming up, Koji Church, is either heaven or hell, is holiness or hell. If you don't get it right, you sinner, you're going to hell. And so that fear, oh my gosh, the fear and anxiety that comes with that, to exist in this world of, where there's not always suffering, but where there can be sufferings, and to be like, well, if I don't walk a straight and narrow, I'm going to die and experience even worse. In a way, well, I'm going to say yes, losing all those family members it sparked my journey, and I'm thankful for it because it elevated me. It elevated me spiritually. My consciousness became more aware about what life is truly about. Now, I'm not saying I got it all figured out, but I definitely got a better understanding. I definitely know that fear has no place. Fear has no place in the spiritual realm. There is no place for it. It does not exist. And therefore, this is a different podcast, but I do not believe in a physical heaven or hell. I think it's a state of mind. When that voice told me to elevate my mind from this place, I knew everything starts here. Consciousness. And there's so much that weighs in on consciousness, like this chaos that I'm speaking about, that is happening in the world today, that's impacting so many of us, that's throwing us off balance. And so I started researching near-death experiences. The Spirit led me to start researching near-death experiences. And I read so many stories about people who were at the brink of death or clinically were dead. How some were in a hospital room, and when they saw their spirit man, I'm going to say spirit man, leave their body, and they were like kind of hovering over their physical body, it was like almost an awareness that was once them, but not so much. And then they talk about being propelled to this white light. And a lot of the stories was a pleasant experience, but there were some that were not so pleasant of an experience. And the ones that were not so pleasant of an experience, believe it or not, it was those who believed in a physical heaven or hell. And that's why I say this mind is, oh my gosh, this mind is so powerful. This mind is so powerful. What you believe, so shall it be. What you believe, so shall it be. You are creating when you don't even know you are creating. It may not happen right then and there, but somewhere down the line, it materializes. It materializes, and you're like, oh wow. And so those near-death experience stories that I read helped me get more comfortable with the idea of death, because remember, that's where my trauma started, with my mom, seeing her take her last breath. That's where my trauma started. And coming into it, and the conscience, the creator knew, okay, this is where I need to meet Deborah. This is where she's struggling right now. Understanding death and accepting it is called, that trauma is causing her to be paralyzed. I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, it brought about anxiety. It brought about paralyzing anxiety for me, especially when all the death started happening in the family. And so when I became more aware, I allowed my consciousness to expand and to listen to the creator guide me into to not be fearful, to take whatever steps that the spirit that creator was taking me through. It was amazing to me, the relief I felt, the appreciation I started to feel more about life, and understanding that it is not gonna all be rainbows and unicorns, and that those tough times in our lives is really, those are the times that really make us. Those are the times that really mold us into the people that the creator intended for us to be, and to fulfill the purpose that we have here. You know, our purpose is spiritual more than anything. And the bottom line of that, the foundation of that purpose is love. That's another podcast. The existence of love. Creation is all about love. That's another podcast. But, my personal story about hanging on for dear life, because I was in a dark place. And I felt the spark, the light of life dimming inside me. And that's a scary place to be. Married with kids, family that loved me, but I was slipping away. I didn't go to a counselor. I didn't go to a therapist. I really didn't talk to anybody, but it took me back to my roots. I talked about having a Kojic background, Pentecost and all that, and I'm so ever grateful, thankful for that foundation. But I have been elevated to another place, another aspect of my spirituality, to where I'm more aware. I know how to tap into this consciousness, and it was needed. And the creator who created us all knew that I needed it. No, I knew I was hanging on for dear life to keep from slipping into a place of darkness. And bit by bit, education by education, every step that I was being compelled to take, I took, because I knew it was a matter of life and death for me. I took it, and I was slowly pulled out of that darkness, out of the valley. That place is real. And to me, that is hell. That's why I don't believe in a physical heaven or hell. That state of being that I was in, that was hell. That was torture. Just rising, getting up out of bed just like a zombie. With the light, the sparkle of light almost just turned off. And so that's my experience. And that's what propelled me on this journey that I am on, that I'm so grateful on. And I have, have some practices that I have to keep me centered, to keep me balanced. Because like I said, okay, has other deaths happened in my family? Absolutely, they have. But I've learned to accept it, embrace it, and I understand that when people say we're all on borrowed time, they are, and they are correct. But in another way of putting that, we are all energy. And I'm not going to say borrowed energy, because we are a piece of divinity. We are all energy. Everything is just a transfer of energy. And the energy that is within this physical being has a purpose to feel. And once that purpose has been fulfilled, that energy is going to be transformed and changed to, it could be another physical being. It could be somewhere in another realm. It's wherever the creator decides to use that energy for. Yes, you're here to fulfill a purpose. And once that purpose is met, it's time for you to move on. And to me, that's a beautiful thing. It's called elevation. It's called, evolution, transformation, change. And I'm going to go back to change, because that's what we're in the middle of right now. All this chaos that you feel, this tension, this pressure that you feel, the universe is going through a change. Mother Earth is going through a change. You as a physical being on this material, because of all the change on the universal level, Mother Earth level, is impacting you on a physical level. And it can't be stopped. It has to happen. It's a change of the guard. We're being ushered into a new era. And everyone knows, change can be difficult. Change can be difficult. But what makes change So difficult is your resistance to it. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Well, Deborah, I don't like the policies that are put in place. I don't like the politics that we're living in. I don't like, the direction that they're taking the world in. Maybe not. You may not. But you as an individual, your universe, right? What does that mean for you? If you as an individual do not have the power or the authority to change the trajectory, on a universal level, you do not. This shall be. Nothing can stop the change that is coming. So stop looking at it as a bad thing. Don't resist the change. Stop looking at it as a bad thing. Everything is about evolution. And the universe is going through its cycle. Mother Earth is going through its cycle. You have experienced change in your own life on some level. At work, you may resist it. Oh, like I'm gonna give you an example. They come in with a new system, a new financial system, but you've been working in this old system I've been on this job for about 20, 25 years. I know this system in and out. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If it ain't broke, don't change it. I ain't finna learn this new technology. You're just gonna sit there with your arms folded while your co-workers sitting on the side of you. They may not like it, but they know it's necessary for them to maintain their position at this job. So they're gonna embrace the change. They're going to the seminars. They're going to the training academies to learn the new system. They're putting their best foot forward. But you constantly sitting there like, do you really think the company, just because they got you protesting, that they're not going to roll out this new financial system? Absolutely not. They're going to roll over you. They're going to find someone to replace you. And that's what I'm saying here. We are going through a universal cycle on every level. And it is of your best interest to embrace it. But you have to start with, how does this impact me as an individual? Does it mean that, this change that we're going through, you already see it, the jobs, of people being displaced from their jobs, the education system is changing. Just about every construct is changing. So the best advice I can give anyone, understand the direction that we're headed in and try to get ahead of it. Ask the Creator, what does this new change means for me? What do I need to do on a spiritual level to be prepared? What do I need to do on a physical level to be prepared? So I would not have a negative experience, but a positive one. So that's my little bit on my personal journey. I'm going to take a pause for those who have just joined Just Conversations with Deborah, where on this podcast, we're talking about things that's going on in the physical. Try to better understand who we are as physical beings by first understanding that we are spiritual beings first, living a physical existence. And you can live your life on purpose. There's so many tools out there that I've discovered. You can live your life on purpose. Because I came to, at a point in my life, I said, I don't want to just seem like I'm just bumping around out here in life. Taking things by chance. I want to make some things happen. Jesus did. I believe Jesus was an ascended master, and I believe he learned those tools and mastered them. So thank you guys for joining. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I am here every other Sunday. Been gone for a little bit. Just came back from vacation, and so just kicking the new week off with hanging on for dear life, hoping to give some people some guidance, but more so just to feed the spiritual man. It needs to be fed. Life is about balance. All right, so we're going to move on to number 2. What psychological and emotional coping mechanisms do individuals typically rely on when they are in a situation where they must hang on for dear life? And how effective are these mechanisms? Well, like I said, in a traditional manner of things, you have therapists, you have psychiatrists, you have counselors, you may have spiritual leaders in your life that you may go to help you cope or give you tools on how to cope with things that may be happening to you in the world, especially in today's time. And so I don't want you to take the position or to leave this podcast thinking that those people are not helpful. Everyone has their place. Everyone has a purpose. Even those people in those professions have a purpose. And if you feel like those individuals are where you need to go to help you cope, to keep you from going to an addiction or, such as alcohol or dealing with anxiety or anything, please do that. Because I believe it's all about how elevated you are, how you position yourself spiritually to where you may not need those individuals. You know how to go straight to the source and get exactly what you need. But wherever you may fall in the spectrum, listen to what you're being guided to do. You're being guided to go seek professional help, please do so. If you have positioned yourself so sternly and deeply rooted in your spirituality, you already have tools that you have developed. For me, I have a safe space in my home where I can go. I can say my my mantras. I light my incense. I have things that I have crafted to help balance myself, to help get myself back centered. So yeah, that's my take on that. That's my position on that. Bottom line is wherever you feel like you can get help, please get it. But I also like to think this is an avenue to where you can, from a spiritual aspect, help also get your spirit man back in balance. Spirit man is most important because once this fleshy body ceases to exist, that spirit man will continue on somewhere else. Absolutely. If you got any questions, I'm going to take a pause. If you got any questions, please feel free to drop those questions in the comments. If you have a personal story you would like to share, please feel free to share those. Marcus V. Walter. That's what people said about cell phones. Older generations were hesitant about texting, yet before long it seemed like everyone was doing it. Absolutely. It's changed, A cell phone, I remember when having a cell phone was a luxury. I remember, was it the beepers? Where you would, use your landline and you would dial the beeper and you would leave a number back for them to call you. I remember that. That seemed to be amazing to me. And then when the cell phones came into place, you heard some elder people say, that's the devil. That's the devil device. Always having a communication device on you where you are always, makes you always available. Anyone can call you anywhere, anytime. That's the devil. But look how efficient it has made our lives. I feel I like, the cell phones, where if you got kids, you allow them to go out, hang out with friends, be away from home, you can just dial them. And then some of them got, like the iPhones, find my location. You can see where they are. So it has its benefits. But on the flip side of that, like I said, there's yin and yang in this material. There's the good and the bad. They can also spend too much time on social media on those phones. Now they got parental guards or whatever on there to where they can cut their mobile time. You can manage that, but too much social media, and so that's a whole nother conversation. Something that we usually talk about on our Wednesday show with Deborah, myself, and Felisa. We talk about social media and its impact, so I don't really want to get into it here. But there's give and take in this life. How do you know what colds feel like if you never felt hot? The creator is an awesome creator. I'm here to tell you, everything is in balance. Everything is in balance. And so that's why I know when you're out of balance, there's a way to get back centered. How do you know how well you feel if you have never been in a place where you feel unwell, where you feel sick? How do you know the difference between dry and wet if you never experienced the wetness of, water of something? And something just being dry. There's give and take, there's cause and effect. Creation is beautiful. It's just about understanding it and tapping into it. Marcus B. Walter, People should look into the fourth turning. It offers valuable insights into the changes in the world and helps explain what's currently happening. That's absolute positive. Yes, the fourth turning. Now, there is a lot of information out there. I know my spouse knows a lot about the fourth turning, and it's about historical events, tracing back to historical events and how things have happened over time, and now they're happening again. Once, like I said, everything has a cycle. Life has a cycle. Existence has a cycle. We are in a universal cycle right now, and that's why there's so much tension, so much change. You feel like the educational institutions are under attack. Politics are running away. Our education system is, crashing. We've got this new technology that's coming into place. It's going to be doomsday for us because it's going to take over and run the world, rule the world. Like I stated, I have learned not to buy into the fear porn, the fear mongering. It's just that you don't understand the change that is happening. And it is so important for you to hear from the Creator. It is so important for you to do some research and learnings on your own. Because if you just take the words of others, like from the news media, even, from celebrities or people that you look up to, I'm going to even say your pastor, get some learnings on your own, get some understanding of your own, because fear is paralyzing people. Fear is paralyzing. It will make you immobile, make you want to crawl up in a hole and not come out until it's all over. But believe me, through this chaotic time, it can be the most powering and transformative time in your life. It's through these tough times that make us take a deeper look at life and say, what do I really want to do with my life? What is my purpose? What is my meaning? For those who may have an entrepreneur spirit and never truly just stepped out there, and because fear may have been one of those things, in this economic climate, a lot of people have lost their jobs, and maybe you were one of them, and maybe this was the opportunity for you to be propelled out there to start your own business. If you have that mindset, right? Anything that you may have wanted to do, but you delayed or was fearful in doing so. And perhaps the things that we're experiencing right now has kind of forced you or put you in a position to go ahead on and do those things. And now you're saying, man, if I have only done that 5 or 6 years ago, what was I afraid of? What was I afraid of? Don't be. So I want to, get a little feedback, a little something that I was reading. And it kind of goes back to what I was saying about my own personal journey, asking the question, what's the point? We're in such uncertain times, in an uncertain world. It's not uncertain to the Creator. The Creator knows exactly what's going on. It's a universal cycle. We just don't know. And you won't know until you do some learnings and understanding of your own. Yes, times can look bleak. So you may say, why should I bother to do this or do that? You should. Because I think this is the time, through all this chaos, a new person can be birthed. A new person can be born. That fire can be ignited within you to do something different with yourself, to do something different with your life. It could be awakening to your spiritual existence, your spiritual being, and starting a spiritual awakening for yourself. Who knows? The possibilities are limitless, right? The possibilities are limitless. So, and then, this talks about accepting the chaos of life is better than trying to fight it. I said that. It is so much easier to accept it than to try to fight it. Because like I stated, the cycle that we're in right now, you're either going to move with it or it's going to roll over you. And you don't want that to happen. You're a piece of divinity. You're divine. You can take this opportunity and ride this wave to the other side, and it can be blissful for you. It can. As scary as it may be. You can take yourself to the next level. That's why I say it could be a beautiful thing. It may not feel good. It just may not feel good to you, but that's okay. Anything that's worth having is you got to put the work in. It's not going to feel good all the time. Even to make a diamond, they have to apply so much pressure. And how beautiful is a piece of diamond? Even a diamond requires pressure. So, and it also talks about, right, you can't predict the future, but I'm gonna try to kind of put another twist to that. You can't predict the future, but I do believe you can live a more purposeful life. You may not be able to predict the future for the world as a whole, and I don't think you should. I think you should let the universe do its thing. Because in one of my podcasts, the very initial podcast I talked about, I believe the creator created life, created it once and put it on autopilot. Well, what do you mean by that, Deborah? I mean that everyone was born in a place at a certain time, and during that certain time, the stars were aligned in a certain position, the moon was positioned in a certain position, other planets were positioned in a certain position, and those alignments determine who you were to be on this material. As I'm using myself as an example, as Deborah. It determined my personality, my characteristics, my strengths, my weaknesses, my likes, my dislikes. And that is so for everyone. Creators, the creator is awesome. Created it once and put it on autopilot. And those planetary alignments, those are their beings in my mind. Everything created is created by the creator, has life. And depending on when your birth is, what time your birth time, it's gonna tell you, it's gonna depict who you're gonna be in this life. So that leads me to say, yes, I believe in numerology. I started diving into numerology because, as I mentioned, I wanted to start living a more purposeful life. I didn't want to just live every day by chance. And numerology has opened my eyes to a lot of things. And what it does is it's based off the Pythagorean theorem table. And it can break down your first name, last name, your birth date. And for me, I'm a life path 1, and I am here to tell you everything it describes about a life path 1 is Deborah. So you cannot tell me things are by chance and that, astrology and numerology, you have those naysayers say, oh, that stuff is evil, because back then they didn't want you to have the knowledge that they had, that they knew, that they could look to the stars and determine X, Y, Z. They didn't want the average day Joe Blow like me and you to have that type of knowledge and insight to take control of your life. It's real. But, like I said, on this podcast, I lay it all out. And if you're not, even if you're not here with me, spiritually in your spiritual journey, your spiritual evolution, that is fine. But if there's any spark of interest, that's the beginning. That's the beginning. And that, this will be the podcast for you to get more insight. So, and it mentions you'll become a better person, faster, stronger, leaner, sharper. This is the way your muscles get fine-tuned, during this time of toughness, chaos. It flexes your muscles. It gets you, it sharpens your focus. It helps you to refocus and to zoom in on your life personally, taking you away from the social medias of the world. It really makes you take a look at yourself. It really does during these times. It reinvents yourself in so many words. So you see how I say chaos? I mean, the good and the bad is all a part of creation. Even we have not so pleasant traits in us because everything is about balance. We have good traits in us, but it's all about intentions. Intend to do good. Intend to improve your existence. Intend to make a better leave this world better than what you were born into. So life is about balance, and the universe makes no mistakes. The creator made no mistake about creation. I am here to tell you. All right, we're going to go on. If you got any questions, please drop those comments and I will be sure to get to them. But we're going to go on to our next question. How can people cultivate resilience and inner strength to better handle life-threatening or extremely challenging situations? So that, I've touched on that a little bit already. It's about understanding who you are. What are your capabilities? What are the tools that the creator put in you when you were created? We all have them. We all have our strengths. One of mine is intellect. Education has always came easy to me. Concepts, academia has always came easy to me, and that's a gift that the Creator imparted into me. And so I have used it. Come from very, very humble beginnings, and and the Creator aligned people in my life that led me to further my education, and even aligned people in my life to to get me started in my career. That's why I say, God, guys, oh, the Creator is awesome and has a plan for everyone. We just have to tap into it. And so, being resilient means knowing who you are, knowing who the Creator is, understanding that you are a piece of divinity. You have that same creating power within you. We are co-creators with the Creator. We are. We just don't know how to use it. The things around us, from television programming, even religion has programmed us to not even understand what it is, and, not to tap into it. I call that spiritual captivity because, religion has its place, but unfortunately, helping you to understand your spirituality is not one of them. At least it has not been my experience. Anything, it teaches you that you have to go through a middle person to even have a conversation with your Creator. You have to go through a preacher, or a preacher has to confirm what the Creator has said in order for you to believe it. Where I am, where my spiritual journey has led me, is I don't need that middle person. I can go straight to Creator. I want my experience with the Creator, my relationship with the Creator to be purely organic. I don't want to have to decipher what the pastor done said. I don't want to have to decipher what Sister Mary done said. They're not saying that those people that do that, you're in a place that you're wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that's where you are spiritually, and where I am spiritually is two totally different places, because where I have gone through in my life, have experienced in my life, has propelled me to elevate myself a bit more beyond that. So those people, they have their papers in place, and if that's where you are, that is fine. That's fine. But if you're being driven to want more, you want to dig a little bit deeper, then I would encourage you to not shut the door on that. Explore it, please. Explore it. And so so the resilience comes into on how to deal with the chaos is understanding who you are, understanding who the Creator is, and at the times of imbalance, in at the times of uncertainty, if you're not sure, you're feeling hopeless or lost, get to a place to yourself, a quiet place, wherever that may be, where you feel safe, or you can have some one-on-one time with the Creator, so you can hear from the Creator, where you can get some guidance from the Creator. That's what I suggest that you do. All right, 4, how important are support systems, whether they're friends, family, or community resources, in helping someone hang on and eventually overcome a dire situation? I think they are very important. I think it's very important to have a support system. And believe it or not, like I was stating, I was positioned, people were positioned, the Creator positioned people around me to where I could take the gift that was given to me to further my education, and even, have people in my life to propel me and guide me in the direction of my career. And so in dire situations, when times are tough, there's going to be that family member, that friend, that the Creator is going to, nudge them and say, help your sister out, help your brother out, and they'll be propelled to do so. Like if you're in a church home or whatever, you have those resources, those people. And so as I state, I prefer an organic relationship with the Creator. And I have tools that I have cultivated to help me navigate this life. But at the same time, I still, appreciate a support system, be it my spouse, my children, my sisters, my brothers. I appreciate that, because the Creator also imports into them to be a help to you. And so absolutely, it's important to have people around you that love you, that want to see you win. So embrace those people, open up to them. If you feel like you can trust them. I ain't saying you can trust every family member or friend, but family, you can't, you're born into them. And friends, if you got friends that you can't necessarily trust, then you may need to rethink those friendships, But you know, if there's someone that you can have a conversation with, it, you know, sometimes it just feels so much better to be able to talk through some things. And if you have those people in your life, embrace them and use them. I'm going to move on to number 5. It's going to be the last question for the night. I'm going to kind of wrap up the show with this one last piece. What are some key lessons or takeaways that individuals generally learned after going through an experience where they had to hang on for dear life, and how do these lessons impact their future? Well, like I shared in my own personal journey, it propelled me to the next level of my spiritual growth. And it has been a beautiful experience. I have experienced some beautiful things since then. My level of anxiety has, plummeted a whole lot. And when those moments, or there are certain triggers that come up in my life, I know how to make them go away, or to where they're not impacting me. And one of the things I was saying, all things are happening according to the divine purpose in Deborah's life. Just saying positive affirmations to yourself like that, it helps. It helps get you back centered. Like I said, you're in this world, you can't escape it until your time here has been spent. But there are tools that the Creator has given unto us that you can tap into to help you navigate this life. So it's a beautiful, life can be a beautiful thing. It's just, how to navigate, how to better understand what's happening on a global level and on a personal level. It can be a beautiful thing. And so I encourage you, if you are here for the first time, just conversations with Deborah. No matter what the conversation is, if there are questions that you have, anything that you would like to share, I am here to help you marry the physical existence with the spiritual, understanding that the spiritual is so much more important, but it is what would help you to navigate this material that we're in. So until next time, Sunday after next. We're not quite here every Sunday just yet, but that may be coming sooner than later. So if you have not already, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and hit that notification button so you will not miss me Sunday after next. I will be back here with some more insight to the existence that we're in. I can't get to the link of the book. Oh, thank you, Marie, Mr. Producer. Marie is saying they can't get to the link to the book, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I almost closed the show out without sharing. I'm so sorry about that. So yes, this is what I'm holding up here is one of my latest publications. This is probably like the 3rd publication. The first book that I authored I was a co-author with another young lady that helped get her story out there. I have a publication, poetry publication. It's it's mostly spiritual. And then I also just recently published Why God Answers a Sinner's Prayer. Growing in Love to Witness God's Glory. So if you want to write that name down, Maribe, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, I mispronouncing your name, I apologize for that. But I assure you, if you type in Why God Answers a Sinner's Prayer on Amazon, it will come up. And this book here, it is my journey to my spiritual awakening, my spiritual evolution. It goes into detail about the experiences that I've had to propel me in that direction. And I lead you on a journey to answering this question in a very different way than what you may be accustomed to. Because when I was growing up, I was told that God doesn't answer a sinner's prayer. You stink in his eyes, sin stink in his nostrils. And so I answer this question in a very different way by taking you through my life's journey. So please, I would appreciate any support by purchasing a copy. And, once you read it and come back and share your thoughts, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. You guys have an awesome night. You have been an awesome audience. Not too many questions, but I hope that's because what I was sharing was intriguing to you and that you mostly wanted to hear what I had to say. So I thank you so much. Have a good night.